Hook, opening scene. The cafeteria at Lincoln High was alive with the usual midday chaos, trays clattering, sneakers squeaking on the polished floor, and bursts of teenage laughter echoing against the walls. In the far corner, at a table meant for 6 but occupied by 1, Naomi Brooks quietly unzipped her lunch bag. She didn't scan the room. She didn't wave at anyone. She simply unpacked her sandwich, an apple, and a water bottle, deliberate, neat, precise. Her silence was like a bubble. One she'd spent years perfecting. Invisibility was her shield. But that day, that bubble would burst. 3 girls, Jessica Turner, Ava Miller, and Sophie Hart, had decided they were bored. And when people like them got bored, they looked for entertainment. And Naomi, in their eyes, was the perfect target. What they didn't know was that Naomi had trained her entire life to handle far greater threats than 3 high school bullies. Chapter 1, The Quiet One. Naomi wasn't a loner because she didn't like people. She was a loner because she didn't trust easily. At school, she was the quiet black girl in simple jeans, plain hoodies, and sneakers that had seen better days. No makeup. No flashy jewelry. No Instagram posts begging for likes. Teachers described her as polite. Classmates called her boring. But at home, it was different. Her mother, Marcia Brooks, was a former martial arts coach who had raised Naomi with an unshakable sense of discipline. Her father, Henry Brooks, had served in the military and taught her resilience and focus. When she was 6, Naomi's mother put her in her first judo class. She hated it at first, the falling, the endless drills, the sore muscles. But she loved the feeling of control. The way her small frame could redirect an opponent's strength. By the time she was 15, Naomi had shelves lined with medals. At 17, she became the youngest national judo champion in the country. But she never bragged. Because her mother had taught her one rule above all others. A true fighter doesn't fight for ego, only for necessity. Chapter 2, The First Provocation. That Tuesday started like any other. Naomi entered the cafeteria, ignored the stares, and sat at her usual spot. She was halfway through her sandwich when a shadow fell over her table. Splash! A cold spray of chocolate milk splattered across her tray, soaking her sandwich and dripping onto her hoodie. The laughter came instantly. Jessica Turner, queen of the senior class, stood there holding an empty carton. Her blonde hair was perfectly curled, her smile sharp as glass. "Oh no," Jessica said mock-sweetly. "My hand slipped." Her sidekicks, Ava and Sophie, giggled. Phones were already out, recording. Naomi's hands stilled. She stared at the milk slowly pooling on the table. She didn't speak. Didn't move. Jessica tilted her head. "You're just gonna sit there? Not even a hey, that's not nice? Or can you not talk?" Naomi finally looked up. Her expression was unreadable. Jessica wanted a reaction. She didn't get one. So she smirked and walked away. But she wasn't done. Chapter 3, The Week of Humiliation. By Wednesday, the whispers had spread. The mute girl. The statue. Naomi found sticky notes on her locker with insults scribbled in messy handwriting. In the hallway, Ava accidentally bumped her shoulder hard enough to spill her books. At lunch, Sophie leaned over and said loudly, "Hey Naomi, blink twice if you know how to smile." Phones were always recording. Laughter always followed. Naomi didn't fight back. Not because she couldn't. But because her patience was a coiled spring. And she knew exactly when to release it. Chapter 4, The Breaking Point. Friday afternoon, the gym smelled faintly of sweat and floor polish. PE class was running team relay races. Naomi was jogging toward the back row when Jessica called across the court. "Hey, statue. Bet you can't even run without tripping." Her friends laughed. Naomi ignored her. Jessica walked over, blocking her path. "What's the matter? Scared?" When Naomi stayed silent, Jessica shoved her. Gasps rippled through the room. Jessica shoved again. This time, harder. Naomi's breath slowed. Her eyes stayed calm. Jessica grabbed Naomi's hoodie and yanked, and that's when everything changed. Chapter 5, The Moment. In a single fluid motion, Naomi's hand locked around Jessica's wrist. She pivoted her hips, shifted her weight, and in less than a second. Thud. Jessica hit the mat flat on her back, eyes wide in shock. The gym froze. Jessica scrambled up, red-faced. You're so dead. She lunged again. Naomi sidestepped, hooked her arm under Jessica's, and flipped her clean over her shoulder. The impact echoed. Ava and Sophie stood frozen, their mouths open. Mr. Dawson, the PE teacher, rushed over. Brooks! What the heck was that? Naomi's voice was calm, steady. Self-defense, sir. A voice from the crowd whispered, Dude, she's a fighter. Another chimed in, not just a fighter. She's Naomi Brooks, she won nationals last year. I saw her on TV. Gasps. Murmurs. All eyes on Naomi. She didn't deny it. She just stepped back and said softly. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Chapter 6, The Fallout. Word spread fast. By the end of the day, the video was all over social media. Jessica and her friends were suspended for bullying. Naomi was cleared of any wrongdoing. But something else happened. Messages started pouring into her DMs from students she'd never met. You're amazing. You gave me courage. I've been bullied too. Thank you. Naomi didn't reply to every message. But she read them all. Chapter 7, Lessons Learned. Jessica avoided Naomi from that day on. Ava and Sophie barely made eye contact. Naomi didn't rub it in. She didn't need to. Her victory wasn't just in flipping Jessica, it was in proving to herself that she could stand tall without losing her composure. And the school? They learned that sometimes the people you overlook have the most to teach you. Chapter 8, Final Reflection. Naomi still sat alone sometimes. But now, when she did, people looked at her with respect instead of pity. She wasn't the quiet black girl anymore. She was Naomi Brooks, the national judo champion who reminded everyone that silence can be power. Closing message, for narration. Sometimes the strongest voices are the ones you can't hear until they decide to speak. Strength isn't always loud. And kindness is always the better choice. Loudspeaker call to action, YouTube. Speech balloon. Have you ever been underestimated like Naomi? Tell me your story in the comments, I read every single one. Thumbs up if you found this story inspiring, smash the like button and subscribe to Be Kind Always for more true and powerful stories. Bell. Remember, strength isn't just in your fists, it's in your heart. Be kind, always.